We are in 2026 and in my opinion, the content strategy on LinkedIn needs a total revamp. I'm going to explain in this video how I created a following base of over 160,000 marketers and founders across the entire globe. If you want to build a community or an audience, you need to have a specific topic and a specific strategy to talk about this topic. You need to create fresh and unique content that is different from other creators, and you also need a distribution strategy like what to post, when to post, and how do you engage with others on the platform. Overall, it's a set of questions that create your distribution strategy. And in this video, I'm also going to explain how I created my content strategy on LinkedIn and the framework that I actually used. But first, I will give you a bit of context about the current content framework that most people use and that, in my opinion, is not pragmatic enough. So as you can see on this slide, the current framework is called Tofu Mofu Bofu. It stands for top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. Basically, what it says is that you should start by top of funnel content, which is mainly about your stories, that is about inspiration, like things that can be relatable for anyone on the platform. Then you have the middle of funnel content, which is the content that will talk about your industry, your expertise at a broad level. And then the last type of content is bottom of funnel content, which is basically content that is here to sell. So the core principle of this framework is really simple. First, you attract a lot of people in your audience and network with stories, with broad content as well. Second, you refine your audience by building authority and creating more specific content related to your expertise. And third, you sell with precise content solving a specific pain or problem. So that is the current framework that most people use on every social channels, including LinkedIn. And I'm going to tell you why I think it's not the best one. First reason, if you have a B2B business that is specific and niche, you don't need to attract broad audiences because they will probably not be interested by what you are selling. Second reason is if you're building a following base with only people that are not really interested about your expertise, when you will post about a specific topic and about your offer, the people in your network will not engage with it because simply they are not interested, and overall the content will plunge. The third reason is related as well. If you build a following base of people that are not interested by your expertise content, you will get addicted to the broad content like top of funnel content and stories because it will be the only way for you to get likes and engagement. And fourth reason, LinkedIn right now, in my opinion, is prioritizing expert content rather than personal stories. So this was the current framework for content creation and the 4 reasons why I think it's not the best one right now. Now I'm going to explain my framework that I've been using for the past 4 years and that is pretty effective in my opinion. I used it to get over 50 million impressions and over 160,000 followers. As you can see on this slide, the framework doesn't look that different, but the mindset behind it is very different. So it's called the authority first framework. Basically, we will lead with our expertise rather than with personal stories and top of funnel content. I will give you the breakdown of the authority first framework. Everything starts from industry content. Basically, 70% of what you are posting on the social channels will be about your expertise, your industry, and your specific skills. Here, you have to shift your focus from growing an audience to sharing useful insights to increase your authority in your industry. So publish 70% about your expertise, your opinion on the industry, some analysis, some trends, how-tos, or infographics that describe a specific problem in your industry. Here, what is important is that you don't copy your competitors. All the insights that you are sharing come from your experience or your expertise. So it's the only way to create unique and fresh content that cannot be seen on other platforms or from other creators because you know what? Nobody wants to read content that come from generic sources like GenAI and content that is a commodity because it's available everywhere. So that's the first part of the authority first framework. Publish 70% of industry-related content that will build and increase your authority. The second type of content that you need to share is personal stories that are related to your industry expertise or your career and entrepreneur journey. Here, it's different from the first framework, Tofu Mofu Bofu, because you are not leading with broad personal content, you are leading with authority, but then when your authority is kind of settled and increasing, you can also talk about yourself or about your company. Why? Because at the end of the day, people buy from people. So if you incarnate your content, it will be easier for you to sell. To give you an example, I started publishing personal stories to incarnate my content after building authority, and I saw an uplift in inbound leads and closing rates thanks to this type of content. Here are some examples. First, how you got where you are now, share stories, and also share your opinion. Second, behind the scenes, how you work, what you do when you're working and when you're not working. Also, you can build in public, showing how you are creating your company or your career right now. The goal here is to connect with potential buyers and also with your audience. Connect at a personal level. Showing your personality puts you by definition in a monopoly state because there is only one you with your personal stories, your opinions, and your expertise in the market. This should represent 15% of your content. Quick break. If you want to go further on your content strategy on LinkedIn, download my 3 LinkedIn strategy playbook for 2026. It's in the description. The third type of content, we can call it conversion content or offer content. Here, it's really simple. It's the way to transform all this authority and impressions into prospects and revenue pipeline. The goal here is to either sell your offer directly or to lead to what I call a content upgrade or to lead to a call or a demo with your target audience. The first thing, obviously, is that you need to set up your profile on the social channels such as LinkedIn. So your offer needs to be clear, consistent, coherent, easy to understand, and should obviously have a high perceived value. Then you need to define the objective every time you do this type of content. Do you want to get more newsletter subscribers? Do you want more product users, more free trials, more sales calls, or more coaching clients? Then the goal here is to be granular in the way you help your clients. And I'm going to give you a simple framework to sell your offer. It's the PAS framework. Problem, agitate, solution. So what you're going to do is to first talk about the problem you're solving with a real example or a quote from one of your clients. Then you're going to agitate this pain with examples, symptoms, just explain why it's so painful. And then the S stands for solution. You're going to explain your solution, and at the end of your post, you will add a CTA, call to action, that leads to a call or to a product or to your newsletter, for example. So with the PAS framework, you will be able to sell your offer inside your content directly. This type of content should represent 15% of your content plan. So now here is the summary of the authority first framework. First, 70% of authority content with expertise, opinions, trends, and analysis. Then 15% of personal stories, behind the scenes, founder journey, build in public. And third, 15% of offer content with the problem, agitate, solution framework. Now, here is the last thing. This is not the best framework if you want to grow a very broad following very fast and follower count is the only thing that matters to you. Second, you don't want to be perceived as an expert. You don't really care about that. And third, you don't have anything to sell. But if you want to build a qualified audience of experts, if you want to be perceived as the go-to expert in your industry, and if you have an offer to sell, then I really believe it's the best framework for your LinkedIn content strategy from now on. All right, that was my authority first framework. I think it's a very good strategy for you to put in place right now in order to leverage different social channels, especially LinkedIn. Hey, if you like this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel to get the next video about LinkedIn and content and B2B marketing. And also, you can like it and comment. It will help me a lot.